Hey, what's up, Buford Tabletop Gaming? Got a little how to play video for you here. We are going to be showing you Bot Wars. Just played our first game the other night. Rather enjoyed it. And it's a real simple game to pick up. It's out of Australia by Traders Galaxy. You can go to www.tradersgalaxy.com.au and check it out. Also, Discover Games here in the States is opening up an online store sometime this month, should be pretty soon, and they will be carrying Bot Wars. So what I wanted to do was walk you through the basics of the game. Like I said, it's a really simple game, but it's oozing with 80s. So if you're a child of the 80s, you'll really appreciate the game. So first off, let's talk cards. So I've got a couple cards here on the table for you. Let's go ahead and grab Thermal and take a look at him. So here we have Thermal. Let me try to get the glare off of there. There we go. Perfect. That ought to do it. Get us in a good position here. And let's talk cards. So at the top there you can see we have the model's name, Thermal. To the left there, right here, we have the faction symbol. Over here we have the point cost. And then we will move down this column right here, and let me tell you what these are about. So the first one is your strategy rating, and we'll talk about that as we progress in how to play. He has the M is your movement, so he's going to be moving 7 inches, so how fast they're going to move. The RA is going to be his ranged attacks, and that's going to be how many of these purple dice you roll when you attack. The next one is going to be your close attack. Again, that will be how many purple dice you roll when you do a close combat attack. And then your SH is your shield. That's how many of these dice you will roll when you are attacked. Here's your damage capacity right here for your model. And then in white here, we have their super abilities. And these super abilities will cost energy to use. These right here, your magnetic disruption gun and your sharpshooter, those are both basically passive abilities. They're special abilities that the model has, and the class is, if I'm not mistaken, I couldn't find anything in the rule book about defining the class. He's a mud warrior. I assume that has something to do with his combine ability, which is a super ability. And then here we have how many energy this model generates. Real quick, since we went through the card, this is the Valiant Wolf. You can see he's got super ability, special abilities, a little more damage capacity, his stats, and he only generates 2 energy. So, and don't mind the models, they're work in progress. I just slapped paint on them so we could see them a little better because the white primer was glaring really bad. So, basically, here's how the game runs. You've got 3 phases that make up the game. You start the turn phase, and you will calculate any victory points, and any special rules will take place in this phase. Then what you're going to do, and this is a unique aspect of the game, but it's pretty cool. So what you're going to do is you're going to do your power-up phase. Your power-up phase is, since every model is generating energy, you're going to have a pool of energy. Now obviously you're going to have more than one model, so you're going to have that whole pool of energy. So if you had 3 guys that each generated 3 energy, you'd have a pool of 9, and you could assign them how you wanted to. So in the power-up phase, that's what you're going to do. You're going to place your energy. You're going to allocate your energy. Now obviously in this case, we have 3 going on Thermal, 3 going on Wolf, because we don't have anyone else to assign it to. Next, the next step in the game is the activation phase. So what we're going to do there is, that's where we're going to, well, obviously activate our models. But this is a little more akin to, you could compare it to X-Wing or Attack Wing. So we're going to activate based on our strategy rating. So we've got a strategy rating of 7 and a strategy rating of 5. And the way this is going to work is you are going to activate your models in ascending order based on their strategy rating. So your opponent or you may activate multiple models before the other person gets to go, based on your strategy rating. Again, reference X-Wing and making those activations. So in this case, since we're going from strategy rating 1 all the way up to 10, Wolf is going to activate first because he has a strategy rating of 5. Thermal has a strategy rating of 7, so he'll activate after Wolf does. Activations are pretty straightforward and simple. Activations cost, you guessed it, energy. So you got 4 main activations. You can move. Yep, you can shoot. So you can make a ranged attack. You can also make a close attack, or you can activate a super ability. Super abilities are always going to cost energy. So when you're allocating them, depending on what it is, so for instance, let's just take a look at ram attack. So the ram attack, both of these guys have ram attack. And what they're going to do is, in this particular instance, because Wolf is solo, he's not going to be able to, because it's 2 energy cubes just to activate his ram attack. So he wouldn't be able to do anything else because he would have no other energy. Now, because Thermal has 3, he could activate his. We're not going to go too deep into the super abilities. I'm just going to walk you through the basics. So, again, moving back, up to 2 activations can be performed per model per turn. So you can do them in any order you want. It's not like you have to move or you have to shoot in any sequence. You can make a ranged attack and then make another ranged attack. You can make a close combat attack and another one. You can make a move and a ranged attack, or a ranged attack and then move. So as long as you have the energy to spend, you can perform those 2 actions. So moving costs 1 energy. Making a ranged attack costs 1 energy. So the way you'll make a ranged attack is, let's just say, for instance, Wolf has moved. Let's say he's resolved his move and he stops right there. Ranges are really easy. It's 10 inches or less is considered a short ranged attack. And if the target is over 10 inches, it's a long ranged attack. Period. That's it. If you're making a long ranged attack, you can't power boost, and we'll get to that in just a second. And basically what a power boost is, well, I guess we won't get to it in a second. I'll talk about it right now. It's a power boost. So let's say Wolf is going to shoot. So he's got 1 energy to shoot with. So he'll spend that energy. He's going to spend this energy also to boost. So now he's spent both of his energy. And we go over here and we look at his ranged attack rating. His ranged attack rating is 3. So he's going to get 3 purple dice to roll. Let's go ahead and roll those. Now, at this point, before I roll, if Thermal wanted to, he could also spend 1 of his energy and boost for his defense, for his shield, but we're not going to do that. So let's just roll these and see what we get. So, wow, why couldn't I have rolled that the other night in my first game? Alright, so he's got a 6. Wolf has rolled a 6. Now, the next step in this ranged attack is we're going to look at the shield rating of Thermal. He's got a shield rating of 2. So he's going to get to roll 2 shield dice. If he had boosted, he'd get an extra 1. If he was in cover. So cover, as defined in Bot War, is going to be 50% of the model covered. So if he were in cover, he would get another shield die. So it's pretty straightforward, pretty simple, but we're going to leave it just at 2. So we'll roll his 2 dice. Ow, that looks more like I was rolling Friday night. So we got 1 on Thermal's shield dice and 6 on Wolf's attack dice. So what we'll do is we will subtract this 1 from Wolf's total, and he would do 5 damage. Well, unfortunately, Thermal is not that tough, and that would destroy Thermal. Boom. 1 shot. Not a good day to be this guy right here. That's how ranged attack works. Pretty easy. Not a whole lot to it. Real quick. It's one of the things that's nice about the system. It's definitely more of a beer and pretzels kind of game, so it's not super complex. It's fast, it's easy, It's really quite fun. We had a good time. I will say this though, you gotta use cover. So we had large buildings set up, didn't have a lot of scatter. Highly recommend throwing a bunch of scatter on the table to really offer a lot of cover, because it's really necessary in this game. Now, the last thing I want to touch on with ranged attacks is this. It does not appear that there is a maximum range on weapons. As it's written in the rules, all it says is if the target is over 10 inches, it's a long range attack. That's it. So, played on a 3x3 board, apparently you can hit anybody anywhere. There's a couple games that do that, so I don't think that that's a deal breaker in any way. I think that just forces you to really think about where you're putting your model, because from the word go, if you're visible, they've got a chance to hit you. And it's always worth that risk. If you're far away, it's always worth it to take the shot, in my opinion. But I also lose most of my games, so you might not want to listen to my opinion. Okay, so the next part we do, let's put Wolf's Energy back on there. We'll talk about the special abilities in a minute. I just want to walk you through the basic steps. Special abilities are all defined in the rule book. There's a nice little couple pages. Well, it's more than a couple pages. It's several pages in the book that will give you the special rules, and they're very well laid out, and they are also very well explained. There hasn't been a lot of questions that I've come across that have jumped out to make me say, well, they didn't really resolve this in the rule book. But again, as a beer and pretzels kind of game, if you come across something like that, it's not a big deal to resolve it with a dice roll. So close attacks. When a model gets into base-to-base contact with an enemy, so we're going to go ahead and give Thermal the edge on this one. We're going to make him attack Wolf, so that he's going to get to have a little fun, since he just got schwacked by the old Wolfster there. If only Wolf had done that well for me Friday night. Okay, so basically it costs 1 energy cube to make a close combat attack. Now, you do not get a close combat attack as part of your move into combat. There's a lot of games that do that, but a great many of the games that I play kind of incorporate that into that action point, or in this case, energy cube that you spend. This, however, is not the case. So if he had spent this one to move in, he would still need to spend another one to make an attack. So, because he's doing a close combat attack, he will automatically add 1 black critical die to his roll. So we're going to look at his close attack, which is only 2, so he'll get 2 purple die to roll, but he will also get a black critical die. Now, if he had had the energy to use his ram attack, he would get an additional black critical die. But he didn't, so we won't bother with that. Alright, so the combat is resolved the same way. So Thermal would roll his dice, and he would get also a 6. Looks like he's looking for some retribution on Wolf. Wolf, however, has 3 shield dice. So Wolf going to roll his and get 4. So he would counter 4 points of damage from Thermal, and he would take the other 2. Now, Wolf is a little sturdier than Thermal is, so that's not going to cause as much. It's not as bad for him, because he's only going to take 2 points of damage, reducing him to 4. Now, again, if he had these 2 energy cubes, he could have spent one of them, boosted, and potentially canceled all of that damage. So that's your close combat steps. It's a line-of-sight game, so terrain, as is pretty common in any game, is you determine what's line-of-sight blocking, what's impassable, what's X amount of inches high. So that's basically what you do. So any power boost that you do, like we had talked about with the boosting with here, any power boost you do is essentially just adding an extra die. So that's all. And let me correct something on the shooting cover. So if you're obscured by 50%, you don't get an additional shield die. You get a critical die. So apologies for that. The reason being is the critical die you got a lot higher chance of getting a 3. Whereas the shield die, as you can see, if you get a 3 on the shield die, you brought your own custom-made dice, because this one doesn't have 3 on it. One of the other nice things about the game, well, real quick, we'll talk about these abilities that we have on these two guys, just to give you a flavor for them. So, our first ability here for Wolf is Scout. And for you regular gamers, you're probably going to know what this is. So, he gets to ignore normal deployment, and he can set up anywhere on the board. Now, a lot of games I play, there's a limitation to maybe halfway. He can set up anywhere on the board. He'll be deployed last, and he has to be out of line of sight. Now, if that's impossible, he has to be at least 11 inches away from an enemy model. So, nice rule. Very cool. And naturally, I forgot that he had that rule when we played the other night, because it was our first game. So I hadn't had a chance to really get to know my models. The other one he has is Disorient, which is pretty nice. And this rule, he can replace his ranged attack with using this ability. And he activates it, and every model, whether it's a friend or foe, within 10 inches, not including him, is going to lose 1 red shield die for the remainder of that turn. So the whole rest of that turn. So he's kind of like the setup, and then here comes the 1-2 from the rest of your guys hammering whatever model it is, because they're reduced by 2 shield die, or a shield die. So that's a pretty nice ability. So let's hop over here to Thermal and check out his Magnetic Disruption gun. I really liked this one. Well, I didn't really like it because I was being shot with it, but it's a nice rule. What that does is they can change all of their purple ranged attacks. So in this case, Thermal has 3 purple ranged attack dice, right? We already determined that. He's got 3 purple ranged attack, which is a pretty good attack and fairly standard of what I've seen. Now, mind you, I only have the starter box, so I've only got a handful of models. But when he uses his Magnetic Disruptor gun, which he can only do at close range, he gets to replace these 3 purple dice, go away purple dice, with these, which gives him a much higher probability of dishing out a whole lot more damage. His other special ability there, Sharpshooter, that allows him to re-roll a single ranged attack die. So if he rolled these close range, he could re-roll this 1 and really dish out a whole bunch of damage in the ranged attack phase. And that is pretty much the entire game. It's that simple. The rulebook has 10 scenarios in the back, which are really nice. It's also got some tokens in the back. They're pretty basic. They're energy cube tokens, which if you have the 2-player starter, you don't need those tokens because the 2-player starter comes with the really cool energy tokens there. There are also upgrades that you can buy. There's not a whole bunch. It's about 2.5 pages, maybe 3 pages, to kind of fill in that 2 to 5 point gap you may have when you're playing against somebody else. Would be nice to see those in a card format, like a PDF card format that you could print. So that's pretty cool, because I like a card. I will probably make a PDF and throw it up in the group of the special rules, sort of like a cheat sheet with the special rules and the super abilities, just so that you have an easy reference, because this game is really simple. And since it is that simple, if you have that little cheat sheet, I seriously doubt you would need to break the book out for anything except to look at the scenario you're playing, unless you're doing an off-the-cuff scenario, and then you wouldn't even need the rule book at all. So that's pretty nice. It's a basic game. Like you can see, it took about 20 minutes to tell you how to play it, and that's only because I went really slow. Had you been sitting here with me with the models on the table, we probably would have figured it out a whole lot quicker than that. It's very intuitive. It's simple. The custom dice make it easy. You don't have to figure anything out. You're not looking at really any bonuses. It plays really light, really fast. I'm looking forward to getting a few more games in under my belt. I definitely need some more Valiants because I got hammered by the Atlanticans that my buddy was playing on Friday night. But that's okay. I will have my revenge because I will have a lot more scatter terrain on the table. We will also have this game at CoastalCon 2020. If you have not checked out the Facebook page, do that. We've got a lot of information going on, but Discover Games will be demoing Bot War at CoastalCon. And last but not least, if you like the video, click the like button, subscribe, hit the little bell up in the corner so you can get notifications when we post videos. And don't forget, on the Facebook page for CoastalCon, we are doing a Monday night 9 o'clock live show. And essentially what we're doing is painting and talking about what's going on at CoastalCon 2020, things that are being planned, things that are happening, and also discussing rules, talking about models, and just hanging out. So you guys tune in, click the like button, subscribe, and we will catch you guys next time.